ਮਾਲੀ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਪਾਣੀ ਪਾਉਣਾ, ਮਾਲੀ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਪਾਣੀ ਪਾਉਣਾ, ਭਰ ਭਰ ਮਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਪਾਵੇ, ਮਾਲਕ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਫੁੱਲ ਫੜ ਲਾਉਣਾ, ਲਾਵੇ ਜਾਂ ਨਾ ਲਾਵੇ। ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਮਾਣਯੋਗ ਸਰੋਤਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਰਾਮਾਕਾਂਤ ਡਾਵਰ ਜੀ ਅਤੇ ਗੁਰਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੇਰਗਿੱਲ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਿੱਘੀ ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ। ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਯੂਨੀਫਾਈਡ ਸਕੂਲ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਦੇ ਜੋ ਬੋਰਡ ਆਫ ਟਰਸਟੀ ਲਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ। ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਅਪਡੇਟ 2014 ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ, ਰਾਮਾਕਾਂਤ ਡਾਵਰ ਜੀ ਹੋਣ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਹੋਵੇ ਸ਼ਾਨ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਇੰਪਸਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੁਲਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਦਾ ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਜਰ ਆ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ what are the procedures for the elections, for the past years ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਹੀ ਜਾਣਾ register to vote, please register to vote। ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਰੋਤਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਦਈਏ ਕਿ ਯੂ ਕੈਨ ਰਜਿਸਟਰ ਐਟ ਦ ਲੋਕਲ DMV ਆਫਿਸ। ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ US ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਉਮਰ 18 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਫ੍ਰੈਜ਼ਨੋ ਕਾਉਂਟੀ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਲਰਕ ਆਫਿਸ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਰਜਿਸਟਰ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ ਜੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੇਅਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਅਮੀਰੀ ਆ, ਕਿੰਨੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗਰੀਬੀ ਆ, ਡਸਨਟ ਮੈਟਰ, ਪਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੋਟ ਆ ਉਹਦੀ ਬੜੀ ਕਦਰ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਆ। ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਦਰ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਦੇਖੀ ਆ, ਸੁਣਦਾ ਹਾਂ, ਦੇਖਦਾ ਹਾਂ, ਐਂਡ ਬਿਨ ਦੇਅਰ ਡਨ ਦੈਟ ਆਲ ਦ ਟਾਈਮ। ਲੋ ਜੀ, ਵਿਦਆਊਟ ਐਨੀ ਫਰਦਰ ਡਿਲੇ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਲੈ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਹਨ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਯੂਨੀਫਾਈਡ ਸਕੂਲ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਇਜ਼ ਵਨ ਆਫ ਦ ਬੈਸਟ ਸਕੂਲ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ। I can say that, and some people are like, Gurdeep, how can you say that? Well, I can say that as a parent. My daughter, she's a 3rd grader. My son, he's a 2nd grader. I've been teaching in Central for 8+ years. Plus, I've been a substitute teacher, a tutor there for about 2 years. I have my investment properties there, multiple properties that I have rented, and I even live in the Central Unified School District. And I think I'll be a lifetime Central Unified School District parent, educator, and a community activist. So Central is one of the best school districts, and I respect all the administrators, all of our board members, our teachers association, all of our teachers, all of our parents, and above all of our lovely kids, because we love our kids. So let's get over there and let's talk to I'm going to get started with Mr. Ramakant Dawar ji. Ramakant Dawar ji, welcome, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਿੱਘੀ ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ। ਤਾਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੱਜ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਗੈਸਟ ਅੱਜ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਕਸ਼ਨ ਉਹਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫੇਰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਪਲੀਜ਼।
Thank you so much, Gurdeep. We have Cesar Granda, who is running for Central Unified School District, Trustee Area-1. And we have Richard Atkins, who is running for Central Unified School District, Trustee Area-4. And myself, I am running for Central Unified School District, Trustee Area-7. And we are long-term residents of Fresno and Central Unified School District area. And there is a Hispanic recording, I think it is played, that I am hearing.
Oh, honey, no, it's okay, because it's coming from our other studio. It's not going on the air. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And we 3 candidates, and there is another candidate who is also in this pool. Then there are some more candidates who are running, but we are here today to talk about our candidacy, about our agenda, and why we are running, and we will talk about those all the things.
Definitely,
and you will be the host. You will ask questions. You are a long-term teacher with the Central Unified. We will be pleased to answer your all the questions today.
Thank you, Rama ji, Richard, and Cesar. We really want to welcome you to our shows, and we will go non-stop till 10 o'clock. We'll be discussing a lot of issues that are faced by our central community that affect our kids every single day. So I'm going to actually go deep into it. Let's go to straight talk. We're going to go straight talk. And the first question I have for Cesar, Richard, and Rama, and then please, just jump in there and answer it. So the first question is, Were you pleased with how district officials spent new local control funding formula dollars this past school year?
How's it going? This is Cesar. And where I kind of stand on that, I would say no, because excellence is my top priority. This money should have been spent in the classroom and primarily on retention of motivated teachers. If that inflection of monies would have been properly funded, this would have been put the pay schedule ahead of time in front of the teachers. And this will be definitely rewarded to certified and non-certified staff to ensure there will be created long-term funding and commitments on the time of their spending.
Go ahead, Richard.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys so much for giving me this opportunity to be on the show today. It's a very big privilege for me. As some of you may know, I'm a longtime resident of Central Unified School District. I actually am alumni. I graduated class of 1975, and I attended Madison Elementary. 41 years of my life I've lived in this district, and I'm 57 years old, so it's basically the majority of my life. To the question that was answered, I would say no. I'm really not pleased with it. Over $5 million of that funding went towards the implementation of the new tablets with very little local input on the matter of what the local community actually wanted done with that money. I would have preferred seeing the plan integrated, that the tablets from about the 5th grade on instead of the whole school district, and this would have allowed additional time to work the bugs out of the system and to fine-tune the system before full integration. Technology is expensive to begin with, and unexpected problems only drive up the cost. And in this coming year, I would like to see more funds go towards modernization of the older campuses, splitting the high schools, East Campus to West Camp, and building the 3rd campus, therefore making smaller campuses, in theory giving us smaller classrooms, so there is less students in each classroom for each teacher. Instead of a 40-to-1 ratio as in many classes in the high school level, let's get that level down so that the main concern isn't whether that child gets out of the classroom safely, it's whether that child actually learns something that day in the classroom. Another thing I would have preferred seeing the money go to is teacher training. I know that we'll be addressing this subject a little later, and it's a hard subject, and that's Common Core. But with all the additional load being put upon the education, on education itself, these teachers aren't prepared for a lot of this that's being thrown in their putting on their plate. And I'd also like to see more of the money been diverted towards vocational education. Not every student who graduates from high school will be going to college, and we've got to address that issue, and we need to educate these kids so they have a fighting chance of being employable once graduating from high school. And once again, I thank you all very much for allowing me to be here today. It's a great opportunity for me.
Thank you, Gurdeep. It was a wonderful question and an awesome question. I do appreciate that you came here to talk to us, and you are hosting this talk show. Now, responding to your question, being a former teacher, as I taught with Fresno, Clovis, and Madera Unified School Districts, being a former professor, taught at Fresno State University, being a former planning commissioner, being a former advisor of Fresno Police Department, being a former advisor of Complete Count Committee of Fresno City. Still I teach with the Universal Health and Network Systems Incorporation to those people who are not in the mainstream and court has ordered them to take sessions. being a therapist, being a business owner, being a community activist, being a radio host, having these all the experiences, I will say, and I think we have an arrogant problem with the Central Unified School District's administration. We have great parents, we have great teachers, and great support staff that we can count on. Without teachers, without support staff, we cannot move forward. But the top level leadership, not the elected, seems unconcerned about how the community would like to spend this money. Community input is a requirement from the state and a requirement of our top leaders, which our top leaders have failed at. We need more money in the classroom and less money spent on the top level administration. Top level administration just gave them raises. What about teachers? What about support staff? What about students? They are not thinking about that. Some of the elected officials in Central Unified School District Administration, they became a rubber stamp. They do not even listen. They are asked to vote by some of the administrators on certain issues. I do understand. Administration suggests vote on this project, deny this project. But what about those elected officials? They do not listen. They are not concerned about students' needs. They are not concerned about parents' needs. They do not think about teachers. They don't think about support staff. Looking into these all the things, as my colleagues who are running for this position as well mentioned, we need small classrooms. That's true. If a teacher has more than 60 students, 50 students in a class, how can he concentrate on teaching? He will concentrate on administration stuff. We need small classrooms. We need more money for our teachers. We need more money for our classrooms, for our students, for our resources. And I will answer in straight one word to your question, no. Thank you, Gurdeep.
Okay, thank you so much, Cesar, Richard, and Rama, for sharing your thoughts on this matter. So my next question is, how would you fix it? Like, let's say if you get elected this year in November, like, how would you fix this problem?
We will fix this problem, but I will urge you, Gurdeep, can you tell our listeners in Punjabi what we discussed, please?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਹੁਣੇ ਮੈਂ ਸਮਰਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਦਵਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਸੀਜ਼ਰ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਯੂਨੀਫਾਈਡ ਸਕੂਲ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਦੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਨੰਬਰ 1 ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਤੋਂ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ 1, ਤਾਂ ਰਿਚਰਡ ਨੰਬਰ ਏਰੀਆ 4 ਤੋਂ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਰਮਾ ਜੀ ਨੰਬਰ 7 ਤੋਂ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਤਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ, ਵੋਟ ਆਪਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਗਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਆ ਕੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਪਿਆਰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰਨੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਯੂਨੀਫਾਈਡ ਸਕੂਲ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਭਾਰੀ ਮਾਤਰਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਹੈ, ਤਾਂ ਪਰ ਰਜਿਸਟਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਉਣ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰੋ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸੰਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਭਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਇੰਸਟੀਟਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਆਫ ਫਰੈਜ਼ਨੋ ਵੋਟਰ ਰਜਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ। ਸੋ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੋ ਜੋ ਮੁਹਿੰਮ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਰੱਖਣੀ ਹੈ। ਤਾਂ ਸੋ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ, ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਨੂੰ, ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਕੂਲ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇ ਹਨ, ਤਾਂ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਮਿਲੀਅਨਸ ਆਫ ਡਾਲਰ ਮਿਲੇ ਸਨ। ਤਾਂ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪੈਸੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਪਰੀਸ਼ੀਏਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ? ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ। ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਸੀਜ਼ਰ, ਰਿਚਰਡ, ਤਰਾਮਾ ਜੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਪੈਸੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਲਾਸਰੂਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾਣ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਬੈਟਰ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਤਾਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੀਮਾਡਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਸਕੂਲ ਆ। ਹੁਣ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਈ 100 ਸਾਲ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਸਕੂਲ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, 100+ years old। ਤਾਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਹੁਣ ਨਵਾਂ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਇੱਕ ਹਾਈ ਸਕੂਲ ਵੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡਲੈਂਡ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜਲਦ ਬਣਨਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਤਾਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਵੈਸਟ, ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਈਸਟ, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜੋ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਨਾਰਥ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਊਗਾ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਉਹਨੂੰ, ਹੁਣ ਨਾ ਹਲੇ ਅਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਸੋ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਦੀ pretty much ਅਪਗ੍ਰੇਡਿੰਗ ਹੋਵੇ, ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਪੈਸੇ ਆ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾਣ। ਸੋ ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਹੋਰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗਾ। ਸੋ ਮਾਈ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ for you, for all of you, Cesar, Richard, and Ramaji, is that how would you like to see the new dollars spent this year to fix the problem that you believe it's a problem? So, Cesar, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Caesar is a goat today, man. He's answering all the questions fast.
He's good to go.
He's on fire, man.
On fire.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is, my day-to-day job is a continuous improvement engineer, and that's what I bring to this table, is continuous improvement. And what I see at the school board is just like at work. I have a process of how we do things, and so my job is to get to the root cause if there's something wrong with the process, and to fix that. And I see a big process breakdown at the board level right now, and mainly is communication. They're not working, and they've simply forgot why they're there. The children and the teachers, they've been there 28 years plus, and they forgot what their role is to make sure that the students getting what they need. So the way I would fix it is to work together with the community, give more parent involvement, as well as partnering up, like Richard was talking about, partnering up with our local experts. We have a lot of community experts here, and that's how you get better. For instance, like Richard was talking about, ag is real big, fire science, vocational training is huge. Not everybody's going to go to college. So working with the local communities, I've received personally a personal endorsement from the fire chief, Kerry Donis, and I've already talked to another board member, and we like to see fire at the local college, at the local high school, getting them prepared to that level. They go to college and they're not prepared. Letting these students know what the expectation is once they leave high school.
All right, great. So Caesar ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ pretty much ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਬੇਸ਼ੱਕ ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਕਈ ਬੱਚੇ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੀ ਕਾਲਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ, ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਹੋਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਸੁਵਿਧਾਵਾਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਹੋਰ ਕੰਮ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਮਕੈਨਿਕ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਮੇਬੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਡਿਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ। ਸੋ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਵੋਕੇਸ਼ਨਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਜਾਣ। So Richard, so my same question goes to you. How would you like to see the new dollar spent this year if you're elected?
I would like to see the new dollar spent mainly towards, like I said earlier, modernization of the existing schools. A lot of these schools are they're built many, many years ago, such as Madison. Believe it or not, on the property I live on, there is still a structure of the original Madison school. It's probably one of the last standing structures. But you walk down the street, and I know people who moved the school back in the 50s from the old school to the new school, and the school really hasn't much changed. I know that there is modernization going on there right now, such as air conditioning in the classrooms of such nature. But there's other areas that we need to take note to. It's the learning environment. If the child doesn't feel safe, if the child doesn't have the tools needed to learn, we're going to fail as a district, and that's where I would like to see the money go to. And how to get the money there basically is when budgeting time comes, we actually sit down, and trust me, I've seen this, what would be the good word, the novel of the budget. It is a massive, massive, massive document, but basically we need to go through it. And as most people in business know, when you do set up a budget, a lot of times what you do is you look at the numbers that were in the past and you sort of write them off, and you may insert one here and delete one there. But I think what we need to do is we need to pay a lot more attention to the line items. and say, do we really need this? Can we use this money better somewhere else? Can we get more bang for our buck? You know, for me, modernization of the schools or creating or building a newer high school basically creates jobs in the community. When you create jobs in the community, the money goes back into the community. Property tax revenues raise. More money then is available. It's a perpetual cycle. You've got to sit there and create a situation where money is made available to achieve these goals we would like to see. And part of it is we've got to get our economy rolling again. And as a school district, we need to address that issue because there's multiple gains from doing this. But the biggest gain for us as a school board is to ensure that our child is educated to the best that we can educate them. We give them the best opportunities we can give them. We don't sit there and frivolously throw their money away on worthless causes. Like I said earlier, high technology is extremely expensive, and it isn't something we can just play with. You know, you don't go out and throw $5 million at a dead horse and expect the horse to win the race. You know, you start small. You make sure the system's going to work. Then you expand the system. You don't just go full bore and say, hey, this is the way it's going to be. We're the first school in the nation to do this. Yeah, we can be. And I mean, it's I'm trying to figure out a proper word without using an old country boy word here, but it's like throwing dice. Do we win? Do we lose? If we win, yay, hey, we're the first school in the nation to do it. If we lose, whoa, man, look what these guys did with that money.
Well, thank you. Richard ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੋ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਤਾਂ ਪਰ ਉਹਨੇ ਅਪਗ੍ਰੇਡਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਬੜੀ ਐਮਫਸਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਸੈਂਟਰਲ ਦੇ ਸਕੂਲ ਹਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਗ੍ਰੇਡ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ. And Richard, I do agree and disagree with you on some of the points as well. But the thing is, for personally, I'm actually talking on behalf of the staff I know I work with, and I love technology. And it has actually made my life much easier, but I know there is some staff who are not familiar with the technology. They really need the training. But I think the younger generation now, I'm not distinguishing age here, but they actually are very familiar, and the kids are actually excited. But you're right, it's the right way to implement it. It's like there are ways we have to use. We have to make sure, because right now there are some of the schools, internet is not working. So we have to make sure that it's implemented correctly. And once we have it, it needs to work like pretty much 100% for every classroom, not just for one classroom or just one school. Well, it has to work for everything. So you're right, and I think it's a risk that the Central is taking. Let's see what happens. Yeah, either we win or we lose.
I agree with you 100% on that, and because of my age, yeah, I'm probably a little more old school than most people. As a matter of fact, I just got an Android here probably about 2 months ago, and this is like rocket science for me, But because I'm still used to the old, pen and paper type thing. But and I have no problem with technology. I'm actually sort of fallen in love with it. It has its pluses, it has its minuses, but for me, it was such an expenditure to make. We should have sat there and say, okay, instead of spending $5,000 on this matter, let's go with $1 million on it, get the system working, get it up to speed, get it to where it works everywhere, not in hot spots and cold spots and no spots, but get it to work and then expand out of it. And then the other $4 million that was spent, put that into the classroom, put that into teacher training and the teacher education. Get community education. I'm a classical example of it. I am old school, and this is a new system. This is new technology. And like anything else, anything new is scary to anybody.
Right.
Most people will not take the jump or take the leap because of the unknown, of the uncertainty. So I am, in one sense, saying, yeah, okay, we took the jump as a district, but we could have took a little smaller leap.
Okay, that'll work. Well, thank you so much, Richard. And so, ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਮਾੜੇ ਮੈਂ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਫੇਰ ਕਰ ਦਵਾਂ ਕਿ ਰਿਚਰਡ ਹੁਣੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਐਮਫਸਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਟਰਕਚਰਲ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਐਮਫਸਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਗ੍ਰੇਡਿੰਗ ਕਰਨੀ ਐਂਡ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ 100% ਐਗਰੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਲਾਸਾਂ ਐਨ ਮਾਡਰਨਾਈਜ਼ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ AC ਵਧੀਆ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਐਨ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਸੁਨੱਖੀ ਲੱਗੂਗੀ ਜੋ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਆ ਸੋ ਬੱਚੇ ਵੀ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਸੋ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰਾ ਸੇਮ ਹੀ ਸਵਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁਣ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਾਊ ਵੁੱਡ ਯੂ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਇਲੈਕਟਡ
Goody, there are so many things that I want to talk, but as you are a teacher and you are teaching with the Central Unified School District since many years,
Ji.
I want to backfire this question on you.
Sure.
But because we are running for the office, we are obligated to answer this question. And so you admit this, that this new technology doesn't work. And there are few things. Number one, books are not uploaded yet.
Yes.
Everyone knows, and on the air you are admitting that being a teacher and being a community activist. Number two, there was a security breach in the Central Unified School District for these new tablets. And Fresno Bee is going to publish this story about Central Unified School District's tablets, that there was a security breach, books have not been uploaded, teachers are there. You, being a teacher, are paid with our taxpayers' money. And when you are paid, all the teachers are paid by the taxpayers' money to teach our children. Instead of teaching to those children, you are there to tell them, hey, reboot your computer, reboot your tablet. And then one student, my son, my daughter, my nephew, my niece, they ask you, teacher, hey, Mr. Shergill, can you tell me how can I download this game? Are you teaching them a class or are you downloading those games? And school district needed to think about that before launching those tablets. They needed to work on that. And in addition to that, internet access was not available to the children. I was in Board of Trustees meeting, and Richard, he was also there sitting on another seat. I was sitting on a different seat. And our top cop of Central Unified School District mentioned, look at these signs in the air. There are lights. It tells you that internet is working there. Hey, in one hall there is Board of Trustee. The whole administration is there. Media is there. People like me are there. In that room, if we are looking at the lights, so those lights are working. But what about other classes? There is no internet access. And Central Unified School Administration just planned to launch that, to have state superintendent to come over here. If you will look at the history, our county board of superintendents, their first term never been elected. I do not mean that never been. Most of the times they bring their assistant, they bring their partner, and then they retire, the elected official retires, and the assistant comes to that position and runs for the office. This became a trend. And I want to mention these few things. As Richard said, dead horse. Yes, first of all, we buy a dead horse and then we pay for the post-mortem or autopsy. What the hell is that? When they bought this dead horse, these tablets, they didn't work on that. And that dead horse, now they are trying to fix it, trying to find out what the problem is in a dead body from a dead horse. I want to make these changes. I do agree with Cesar. As you know, I mentioned few things to you in the past in our personal conversation. I did work with the U.S. Department of Education in the month of June when I was out of state. Visited different school boards, colleges, vocational education. Montana School, they have their program, 2 programs. One is actually 3, plumbing, electricity, and construction. These 3 programs, students, they don't sit in classrooms. They just go in the field and work with real people and draft the real plans. And Montana college students, they came first in the United States when there was a storm in Arizona and all the electric poles were down. They fixed and they did really great job. and they were nominated for that national award. So in the Central Unified, I want to bring those types of programs. When I was working with the U.S. Department of Education in June, I saw that one of the school districts in the United States is getting $117 million grant. In Fresno, there are many school districts, Malaga School District, Fresno School District, Central Unified School District, then Pinedale, Clovis. None of these school districts are getting $117 million grant only for vocational program or only for one particular program. Why don't we get that? So vocational education is must, and it should be taught in our schools. Look at this. A person, he goes to school for many years, just learns how to subtract, how to add, how to divide, and how to read books. But if he needs to fix a table, he cannot. So we need to provide vocational education. And I am glad to announce that all of three sitting here are endorsed by Central Unified School Teachers Association. In addition to that, Richard and I, we both are also endorsed by California State Employees Association. All of three are also endorsed by the Sheet Metal Association. You not? Okay, I know that I am endorsed. So I will be partnering with these community leaders, these community organizations to start vocational education in our school. As Cesar mentioned, he will bring fire. I will ask him to bring Fire Academy in our school, not the fire. Just joking.
Oh, yeah.
So bringing Fire Academy, I know what he meant. So bringing Fire Academy in our schools will provide resources, hands-on tools to our students, and when those students will be done with their education, they no need to juggle for the jobs. I have seen many people who are graduate and working at McDonald's for minimum wage. If a person is having bachelorate, is having doctorate, and they are working for very low paid jobs, why? It means that a person who is having only high school and he has a vocational education, he is making more than that person. So we need people who are experienced, who are having real life's experience, have vocational education. Even in India, you know, we have ITI. Those people, a person who graduates from a college and has a bachelorate, the ITI person, he's fixing radios or he's fixing tires, he's making more money. And in addition to that, let's go a little bit further. I met to a young lady yesterday at Central Unified School District who is a teacher. She teaches on East Campus. She's a daughter of Mark Scott, our former city manager. Her name is Melinda Scott. We discussed these things. She's agreed. We also want to stop bullying. We also stop drugs. Yesterday when I was in that at that location, we were told, you guys cannot go outside. I said, why? Because people, they go outside, they smoke, they do drugs, and they mess up. I told them that, who am I? And they let us go outside. So looking at these things at locations, in the schools, teachers, administration staff, sports staff, they are concerned about the safety and security. Students, they are not given education that they should not use drugs. They should stay away from gangs. We have gang prevention activities, but there must be a special class. Looking into these all the things, the new dollars must be spent on vocational education, on real hands-on tools education, and new dollars must also be spent on those types of educations where we no need to conduct a postmortem or autopsy on a dead horse, as Richard mentioned. He's a cowboy. I am a farmer in India. It's okay that I don't do farming here, but if we are buying a dead horse, just we will take the skin off? No, we need real world, we need real work, and we need to spend our dollars wisely.
I agree with you guys, but I'm gonna disagree on one thing because this is what America is all about. Agree to disagree. We are gonna talk about the need of our kids, especially a lot of our,
Good, I was not done.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
The further, we need our classrooms. We need to pay our teachers. We need to send them for good training. If these computers, these tablets were sent to the teachers first, were tested first, teachers were given training. If a computer or if a tablet is not working, now We have a consultant for Central Unified School District. Maybe people and teachers, they don't know. He's highly paid. And he's also paid by AT&T. He's making money. Central Unified is paying another PR company $10,000 a month. And what is he doing? Nothing. I do not want to vouch their names. When I will be there, I will fix these things. And this money should go to the classrooms. This money should go to the teachers. This money should go to the sports staff, not to private companies to support that, okay, we are having this problem and you will tell to the media or tell us how we can tell to the media that it should not go out. We should fix the problem, not cover the problem.
That's right. I agree on that. Thank you, Mr. Dawar. Thank you, Cesar. Thank you, Richard and Rama. And I just want to, I want to thank them for joining us today. Cesar, he's running from Area 1 of Central Unified School District, and Richard, he's running from Area-4, and Rama Dawar ji running from Area 7. So ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ। ਛੋਟੀ ਜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਲੈ ਲਈਏ, ਆਪਣੀ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਲੈਣੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਦੀ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਜਾਰੀ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ till 10 o'clock. So thank you guys. Let's take a quick break.
The truth is one. God is one. Satnam. The name is truth. Karta Purkh. Only the truth can give creation existence. Nirbhav. Without fear. Nirvair. Without hatred. Akal Murat. The truth is a timeless form. Ajuni Sabam. The truth does not go through the cycle of birth and death.
Right now we have a very special guest joining us, and I want to thank them. Cesar from Area 1 of Central Unified School District Trustee Area, and Richard from Area 4 of Central Unified School District Trustee Area, and Ramaji from District 7. So ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ. And Rama Dawar ji, I do want to kind of elaborate on what you earlier you said about the vocational training. It is I do agree with you. It is very important. Rama Dawar ji ne kiha si ki ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ vocational training ਦੇਣੀ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਮਕੈਨਿਕ ਬਣਨਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਕਿਸੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਫਾਰਮਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ, so ਜਿਹੜੀ vocational training I do agree it's very very important, but I do want to emphasize ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ teaching ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ I'm in the front line, I'm in the classroom like 9 to 10 hours. There are teachers that I know, including myself, we were supposed to go home at 3:30. According to the contract, we leave at 5 o'clock. I mean, there are teachers, they work so hard. I mean, I know teachers, they come to school at 6:30 in the morning. And then the technology, it's not that they download the app and we say, all right, kids, get on the tablet. But technology is like a helper that we use, especially because we have a lot of families who does not have, internet at their house. We have families, we have a lot of farm workers. In fact, my family was so poor. When we came here, we did not even have a house. I mean, I used to pick strawberry myself with my father in Merced when we came here in 1995. So I mean, especially I think for all the kids, technology is good because if you give a kid a tablet or an iPhone, I mean, the kid just works on it. And one thing I have seen an improvement in their attendance. Our attendance just on Polk Elementary, our attendance is about 98%, or 98%. Average, sometimes 99%. I mean, I have perfect attendance almost every day. Once in a while, some kid is sick, but that's right. Technology should be used wisely. But all the bugs, if there is any bug, they should be fixed. So with that, I'm gonna move on to my next question, which is a big deal right now. And this question is for Cesar, Richard, and Rama. The question is Common Core. Common Core is a new way of teaching. I mean, 97 standards are kind of fading away. CST has gone away as well. That was their, California standardized testing. So Common Core is knocking on our door. Well, it's already in our house. So I do want to ask you guys this question here on the Common Core. Do you think is the district doing enough to prepare teachers and students for the new standards? And this time I will start with Rama. Rama, what do you think on that?
repeat that question.
Yeah, sure. No problem. So my question is about the Common Core standards. Is the district doing enough to prepare teachers and students for the new standards?
No.
And why do you think that?
The Common Core standards is a major shift in our educational system. Teachers were not prepared properly. My colleagues are making me to laugh because they want to support that Common Core thing. I will say Common Core standards is a major shift in our educational system. Teachers were not prepared properly to implement these new standards. I would like to see the district provides more towards staff development so teachers have all the tools needed to teach the new standards. Plus, with the introduction of tablets this year, it only added more stress on the teachers to meet compliance, as we discussed earlier and as we mentioned earlier. The things were, when these tablets were introduced, only few officials were involved in organizing these tablets and organizing these events. When these tablets were introduced, state superintendent was there, our local congressman was there, even board officials were not invited, and the board officials were asked to join only 24 hours prior to that introduction. Administration was not even certain that these tablets will work or not. Looking into these things, when tablets were introduced, books were not uploaded, and still books are not uploaded. As I mentioned earlier, that I can do backfire, and you admitted that books are not uploaded, there was a security breach, internet is not working. So looking into these things, Common Core is not according to the standards. And teachers, they needed to be sent, or there must be a training for our teachers, support staff about these new standards. And when we talk about new standards, no one is perfect, no one is learned, and everyone needs and requires some kind of education and background on these new things. So, as you are a teacher, were you guys sent for, or were you guys asked to take the training?
Dawar Saab, thank you. Yeah, you're right. Thank you very much for asking me the question. In fact, that is a new and by the way, this is a Common Core standard. You ask with question to a question, even with the students. I mean, that's the next level. What you guys did, that's really good. Yes, in fact, we are we are getting trained at the district office. In fact, all the fourth grade teachers, we were at the district office on Thursday and Friday all day. We were given training how to implement the Common Core standards, how to go deep into thinking, actually making our kids more thinkers. So we are getting some training on this. Yes, we are.
But my question was, before implementing those things, were you guys trained?
Oh, implementing the tablets. Yes, we were. In the previous years, we were trained. In fact, we were given the tablet to explore and get to know the tablet. So we were given some training on that, yes.
But still, AT&T is upgrading and AT&T is uploading the books. If books were not uploaded, how the training was implemented?
You know, actually, we were given, because there are some states, for example, like New York, there are many other states who have implemented the Common Core like 2-3 years ago. So we were able to actually look at their curriculum and as a staff kind of look at different resources. And I do agree with you on one thing as well. I mean, I agree with you on a lot of things. The books, that's right. We're still using our older books because, we still have the books that we have been using. But you're right. The books are not uploaded on the tablets. But as of yesterday, we were given some resources that some of the books, especially for social studies, because new curriculum is coming out, that is getting in the works.
Okay, I do agree with you that you guys were given other states' tablets and how they are working. But before these tablets were introduced to our students, were those tablets tested?
You know, actually, they did do some trials.
I have very close relationship with the consultant who is working with between AT&T and Central Unified. No, it was not. It is internal information.
Okay, that worked well. I really don't know that information, but thank you, Mr. Dawar. So
You know-
so Richard or Caesar, so Common Core. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Before I will ask my colleagues that they are going to answer, I want to add a few more things. We have great teachers and great students. The problem is failure of our leadership. You need to admit that. And everyone knows from my conversation with our teachers, there seems to be much confusion about what the new standards are and what is required of the students. As a trustee, I would push the administration to come up with a detailed program to ensure the standards are in fact implemented. And those are in clear words. Richard.
Caesar, Gurdeep, where I kind of stand it is that you said that you were trained and certain people were trained. That's great, but what I look at when I'm training employees, I got to get everybody's buy-in, and everybody must understand that. So kind of where I look at Common Core is simply I just don't think everybody understands the Common Core standards. And that's a big problem when you don't understand what the standards are. I just think we need additional training to understand and invest in sending teacher teams, because we work as a team, to workshops like CSCD workshops or FCOE workshops. Send them to Fresno State here locally. Fresno Pacific has a great organization, institutes that are local, that are held here and provide access to national experts in the field that focus on the success of the transition into Common Core. Teachers that serve special population receiving training specific to their area, students need as well. For example, the Gifted and Talented Certification Program, English Learner Professional Development, Teaching Learning Center Model, Fundamental Skills PLC. We need to commit to continuing the investment in building and the capacity of the adults in this organization and know the investment is necessary to support the individual needs of our students. The standards are state adopted and they are fundamental level of knowledge and skills needed for every student. The curriculum and open source material needs to be provided students and teachers the necessary information to successfully attain these standards. If students are struggling and attain standards, the technology needs to allow us to provide support and extensions to every student.
That's great. And Richard, so what's your feed on the Common Core?
Common Core, the question I got, and I'm still researching it, is the way I understand it, the Common Core standards now are actually lower than the California standards were. So a question that haunts my mind is, if we have to go to Common Core, why do we have to take or should I say, if we're trying to educate our students to be more educated, why are we taking a step back as far as the standards go? That's one of my questions. Now, I understand that if we don't accept Common Core, it's a funding issue. We won't get paid from the federal government. That's a basis. And unfortunately, education is based around funding. Without money, you can't do a whole lot. But another problem that I have sort of with it is that I read an article here from the Santa Barbara paper where they said that, okay, so far we got Common Core standards for English and mathematics. They're still working on the Common Core standards for history and science. But Governor Brown has already said he ain't going to accept the standards on history and science. So what happens to our funding then? Do we spend the next 2 years working into this Common Core program to only have it disappear in 2 years because the state won't accept it, so then we are not eligible for federal funding? Are we wasting our time, or do we have to make changes somewhere so that this doesn't happen? But like I said earlier, my problem I have with it is, why are we as an educational institution taking a step back and lowering our standards instead of trying to raise our standards? As far as the interactivity goes, I totally agree with that. You get the child involved and motivated, and they have a tendency of retaining more, retention factor. But what I don't quite understand is, they say that you allow the student to come up with the solution or the answer, even if the answer is wrong. So how are you educating a child and expecting him to learn with the wrong answer? So does that perpetuate further on down? So does his decision process, now he accepts it that, well, this is a conclusion or the solution we came up with, so this is the right answer? And sometimes it may not be. I know that sounds a little, I don't know. My brain sometimes swirls a little bit, because it's a very hard subject matter. We're talking the young minds of young children. We're trying to raise these kids to be productive members of society when they become of that age. And it starts at preschool. It starts at kindergarten. My wife teaches, or should I say my wife? Well, she is a preschool teacher. She has a home daycare. And a lot of her emphasis is on these kids is to educate these kids at a very young age, to get their minds stimulated so that they show interest in reading, so they show interest in working with their hands and the alphabets and the numbers and the colors and all that. You got to get that going. But Common Core to me, seems like it sort of takes a little step back from that.
Well, see, the thing is, Common Core, actually, everything comes from the federal government, comes down. So pretty much we're pretty much told, hey, we're gonna
you're gonna have to do it.
You're gonna have to do it.
Or you are gonna be in the unemployment line. You ain't gonna have no money to pay your bills with, to feed your family with, to support your community. I understand that, but we gotta do something. I mean, that's like shooting yourself in the foot and saying, hey, I'm going to run the 500-yard marathon, come on, or the 5-mile marathon,
That's true. Well, Mr. Dawar, anything else you want to add on to the Common Core?
Gurdeep, I do agree with you on certain points, and I do understand that employees, they have different opinion, and elected officials, they think differently, because elected officials, they think not only for the employees, for the parents, for the students, and they need to take care of the budget. We three here, we discussed Common Core differently, and I do understand when administration talks to you, provides you training, they provide you according to their drafts, not according to the elected officials. Elected officials, we will be the people who will approve the grants, who will approve the salaries, who will approve the trainings, but administration implements those. And there is a difference. There is a huge, I will say, miscommunication between the administration and the elected officials at this moment. As you mentioned, no, there was a training. I do agree with you that there was a training for the teachers, but that training was provided before all the things happened, or was that training provided when they already discussed, okay, we will teach you that these tablets are there in New York. Okay, that's fine. But what about what tablets they are going to bring? And as I mentioned, that there is a AT&T that launched 4G for these tablets. But when it was paid to them, teachers were not introduced. How much is paid to AT&T? They don't tell you guys. They don't tell how much money is paid to the company that is that is providing consultation services. They don't tell you that how much they are paying to the company or person who is providing PR work. They don't tell you that how much we are paying to that person who is coming. Look at one of the administrator in your school district. He has a credit card, and for each meal that he eats for himself, and if he invites you, Gurdeep, I want to talk to you, let's meet at XYZ restaurant. He uses that credit card. Why don't they give you a credit card for your meal? And that administrator also uses a car and fuel. If he goes to Santa Barbara to meet another official, he uses he withdraws money, reimbursement as mileage, time, and gas. Do they tell you these are all the things? No. So when these things were questioned by some of the California State Employees Association's officials, there was a big head-to-head thing in Central Unified School District. I do understand that Teachers Association, Teachers Union is different. California State Employees Association is different. They are different unions. And one of the officials was cussed and was asked that go outside from this meeting. This is a Central Unified School District's Board of Trustees meeting, is a public meeting. No one has a right to ask that official to leave that place. In addition to that, when some of the questions were asked in the past, one of the trustees' husband asked that official, let's go out and check our muscles. What was that? It was a threat. It was a kind of asking that person, let's go outside and I will have a fight with you. Looking into these things, they don't tell these things. How many teachers they go to these Board of Trustees meetings? How many teachers they go to superintendent's meetings? How many teachers they go to see other officials? And in addition to that, when a teacher needs to be fired, principal doesn't keep all the records. And if a teacher he's in trouble, why doesn't principal is in trouble? Because he didn't keep all the records. Look at that. What happened few weeks ago when a teacher, he was involved in a long time ago murder matter, but he was acquitted. Why didn't that principal is fired? Looking into these all the things, there is a gap in communication, and I can guarantee when I will be there, I will try to make sure that these gaps are eliminated. And these people who are running at this moment for these offices, I want to guarantee them too that I will work with them.
Very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Dawar. Actually, that brings up me to my next question: is what are some more challenges that we have? So I heard communication. You're right. Actually, communication is the key to success. We do need to communicate from the bottom up or up to bottom. I mean, I think everybody should be well communicated with everything. But let's talk about how can we improve. I mean, I do want to pick your brain, Cesar, Richard, and Rama. How can now? This is coming from a parent's perspective. Like I said, I'm a parent. I have kids who go to Central. I have multiple homes. So I'm a community member. I live in the district. I have everything that I have is in the district. So it's a big deal for me. Central is a big deal for me, and the reason, and I will not move out of Central because I love Central. I appreciate the opportunity, but how can we improve it? Because Central is I would say that Central is much better than a lot of the other districts.
Gurdeep, I think our colleagues and we have discussed we will improve with the best of our abilities. But we need to talk what are the challenges too.
Gee. Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about what the challenges are, and let's talk about how would we improve them.
One of the challenges and one of the main reasons that I'm running for is, like we talk about, going back to the basics, and one of those basics is safety. And I think this district has a major problem right now. There's a breakdown in safety. We just had Rama talked about, we had a substitute teacher that was allowed in the classroom, and his background. We didn't do more than a 10-year background check, and that's how that got through. The other thing, too, a teacher was assaulted, on a weekend while she's preparing for her class. She was assaulted at Teague, and nothing was done. 4 years ago, because I've been in the district for 10 plus, a teacher was assaulted as well and actually raped. These are the things that we need to get control. I go down to the West Campus, I see the fence falling over. Those are the main things that we got to get down. We hear the stories in the newspaper, shooting over here, this went down over here. And one of the things that I think I could bring up to the table is working with the community. And I work currently right now on the board of directors for the Margie Mason Center. So I have access to a lot of the top people that could help us. Lisa Smithcamp. She's the incumbent DA. She's got a lot of great programs that she will be implementing. I know her on a personal level. Getting her buy-in and getting her commitment, and she has told me that she will do whatever it takes to help us out. Fresno police chief, I know Jerry on a personal level, working with him at the Margie Mason Center as well. He's very concerned with that. So there's things that we need to address like that. And it's not like we have to reinvent the wheel. Fresno Unified is very strong, and we need to partner up with them and work together to see how we could get those same assets, like security systems. Roosevelt High School has one of the best security systems in the country. Let's go down there and see what it is and implement it in Central Unified, and making sure that we have a safe atmosphere of learning for the students, for the teachers. And that's one of the major ones that I see.
I totally agree with Cesar on this. We need the safety of the campuses. As a alumni, back when I went to Central Union High School, this was before the unification, many, many moons ago, but it was still a beautiful campus at the time. We had an open campus. Nowadays we can't even really think about that. So I think for me, we need to look at the other districts and see what they are doing to achieve the same goal, because we're all wanting safety for the educators, the staff, the teachers. Sorry about that, the teachers. I'm repeating myself here. The students, the parents. Different functions. But I think a lot of it for me is we've got to get these kids to believe in their community again. We've got to get these kids to have self-respect for themselves and for the people around them. Somehow we have lost that. A lot of kids are reaching out to other children for guidances. And back to the same thing, if you come up with your conclusion to an answer or an answer to a problem, and it may be the wrong answer, but that's your answer, that's sort of about where we're at. We have kids reaching out to other kids who are gang members who believe, instead of, back when I was in high school, now this isn't right, but I mean, if there was a disagreement, Dickerson and McKinley Avenue, the two boys went out there, they duked it out a little bit, they walked away, they shook hands, and they were the best friends for the rest of their life, I mean, that sounds a little corny, but that's the way it was back then. Nowadays, a fist fight is, do you have a gun or a knife in your pocket? How is that getting on campus to begin with? A couple of years ago, they walked into a classroom out there at West Campus. Kid had a weapon. How did that get on campus? I know we can't control everything in life, but the community is small enough and the schools are small enough where scuttlebutt gets around very quickly. Kids know what other kids have on them, and the thing is those children have to learn to trust their elders, that when such things happen or are brought on campus, that they feel safe enough to approach an adult and say, hey, Joe over here has a knife on him, without worrying about repercussion from his group of friends, or if you can understand what I'm saying there. So school safety, totally, we need to address it, but I think we need to instill self-pride back into these kids. We need to respect one another. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Definitely. Thank you. You're right. And I do want to also elaborate that Central has a very nice program called PBIS, and it's a positive behavior intervention program that teaches kids, be respectful, be safe, work peacefully, strive for excellence, follow directions. But I think that starts at the elementary level. That's where I'm at. But I think that needs to be brought up to the high school level, because kids are kids. They need to be taught positive behavior. And also, I mean, if they are not, following the rules and the regulations of the school, then you're right. There should be consequences for that too. Mr. Dawar, your point on that, please.
Thank you, Gurdeep.
Yep.
I echo my fellow candidates' concerns that they discussed, and I also echo your suggestions, concerns, your opinion. But here we are talking onto different edges of the world. You are talking, being a teacher, that these things should happen. We will be talking, and we are talking as we are going to be at top cops of that unified school district. But we have concerns. On one side, we will be top cops because we will implement the rules and regulations and we will administer them and we will draft them. But on the other hand, we need to look into your safety, teacher safety, student safety, and there are some more issues. I will not do the repetition that my colleagues, they have already talked about. I will say, in my opinion, the top issues are failure in leadership. There are skyrocketing administration costs, as I already discussed and talked, and pricey outside consultants with little results. One person is paid $10,000 a month providing PR work to the Central Unified School District. What he did, in 1 month, I looked that he and one of his staff was there only for a few hours organizing an event. I am having a power walk today. I went to Food Max this morning, bought food, drinks, sodas, juices for these volunteers. Spent only $148. That person, he did PR work for Central Unified only for 1 day in a month, and he's paid $10,000. I am surprised. You are a teacher there. You teach like 5 days a week. Why don't you are paid $10,000? Why doesn't other teacher pay $10,000? That person is drafting only few letters. Thinking into these things, these are highly paid consultants. Why don't we have a full-time employee? Why don't we have a full-time employee who can provide these things? And a full-time employee looking at your salary and looking at that person's salary, $10,000 is a highly paid job. We need to get this under control and direct the money back into our classrooms. And we need to give a raise to the teachers who work hard, and not to that person, hey, come over here, see me for 1 day, I will give you $10,000. You are also a realtor. I am also a realtor. When we sell a home, it takes a lot of efforts. After that, we make $10,000, maybe $2,000 or $3,000, not even $10,000, and that person comes in a day. I'm repeating this over and over, that how our district is spending money. That money belongs to the taxpayers. That money should go to our classrooms, for our children, for our vocational education, for our curriculums, not for that firm, highly pricey. We need to apply business principles to our budget, ensuring a higher level of efficiency. If a small gas station owner, small mom and pop store owner, small convenience store owner, or a person who is having these Mexican food stalls in our city, which we call food carts, if they are able to run that business and feed their family, and they can control their personal budget, and our school district where we have highly educated people, and they are spending money without even thinking, without even having solid plans. We need to provide greater technical education, vocational education opportunities, ensuring our students have the skills that employers they need. If an employer is looking for an employee who can work on computers, who can fix the computers, who can draft letters, and that we do not have those types of employees. And when students get out of school, they have a certificate of high school graduation, but when they go to an employer, employer says, do you know this and that? That graduate says no. Employer say, I'm sorry, I don't have any job for you. So these are the issues we need to address. And look at you, Gurdeep. I will not talk about any other person. I will talk about you now. I know you since many, many years. You just mentioned that you picked up strawberries when you were young. How hard work was that? You are only one person who did that in your family with your father, but look at other families who are doing that. And those kids need a right path where they can learn something, go into the market, job market, and make their living. You worked in motor industry. You work in field farming industry. You work in other areas. You work in a teaching industry. To grow, to reach to that level, you worked hard. But if you were given technical education, vocational education at that time, maybe you were going to teach those educations and preparing your students, hey, you are graduated, there is a job. But what happens, we have certificates, and when we go in the market, we don't find that job. A graduate only just in literary education makes way less than a person who is having technical education. Look at these construction workers. They make around between $20 to $40 an hour. And a person who is educated and having a degree, he's making $10, $15 max. So looking into these all the things, these issues need to be resolved. These issues need to be addressed. And elected officials, when they will be making decisions, they will be implementing and listening and working with the parents, students, teachers, sports staff. And I can guarantee you that I will work with my colleagues, trustees, parents, teachers, sports staff, and students, and I will make sure that our safety and security is very important in our schools. I will work on that. As these two fellows, Richard and Cesar, they mentioned, yes, if you will look into that in our nation, there were how many shootings? Teachers, students, parents, they were injured. If a person dies, only that victim is not the victim. His family, his brothers, sisters, parents, children, and friends, they are all victims of that incident. So I will make sure safety and security is the top measure when I will be elected.
Thank you. Thank you once again. ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ। ਬਹੁਤ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ। ਦੇਖੋ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੁਲਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਮੁਲਕ ਦਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਬੜਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ। ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਸਾਡੀ ਇਨਵੋਲਵਮੈਂਟ ਬੜੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ। ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਵੋਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ। ਮੇਕ ਸ਼ੋਰ ਯੂ ਪਲੀਜ਼ vote and vote. My next question will be what makes Cesar, Richard, and Rama the best candidates? And that would conclude the interview. Loji, I'm actually looking at the time. I can't believe how fast the time has gone. So Cesar, Richard, and Rama, thank you so much for joining us today. And once again, Cesar, he's running from Central Unified School District Area 1. Richard, he's running from Area 4. And Rama, he's running from Area 7. So my last question for for actually all three of you is that we have roughly about 3 minutes left. What makes you the best candidate for this job?
I'll go first. My name's Richard Atkins. I'm running for Area-4. As most of you know, I'm a longtime resident of the district. I was born and raised in Central, went to Madison Elementary, graduated from Central Union High School. I am a veteran of the United States Navy, spent 6 years in there. I was president of the Fresno Central Ag Boosters for 5.5 years. I have been a booster for 15 years. I am an advisor for McKinley 4-H group. I'm on the Central High Ag Advisory Committee. I was on the Superintendent's Advisory Committee, and I was a coach or an advisor for the Fresno Central FFA Ag Mechanics team. The reason I feel I am the best candidate for this position, I will make it short and sweet. It's only two sentences. I will outwork all the other candidates in my race, which means I will walk precincts, I will answer phones, I will talk to people eye to eye, face to face, listen to what you have to say, what you want, and what the district needs, and find and come up with a common solution for the indifferences and the problems. And with my experience and passion for education, I will be an effective voice for the students, parents, teachers, employees, and community of Central Unified School District Area 4.
Thank you, and
thank you so much.
Thank you, Cesar.
Well, first of all, I would be honored to be representing our community. I'm the new kid on the block. I've been here about 10 years, like you, Gurdeep, as far as in Central. But the reason I'm running is because I want to be the voice for our students, our teachers, and our staff. I have firsthand witnessed the positive growth in the district. And too far Central students are leaving Central High School unprepared. And I want to help guarantee that our students have a plan. I also believe that the board should play a role in the community, proactively seeking greater involvement and responsibility on the part of the parent. As a businessman, I know how important in education is to succeed. That's why I am committed to ensuring that every child has the opportunity to succeed while attending Central Unified School District.
Thank you, Cesar. And Mr. Dawar, please wrap it up.
Thank you, Gurdeep. Thank you so much for hosting this talk show and giving us a chance to speak up and echo our voice. And first of all, I want to make an appeal to our listeners that please join me today at 10:15 a.m. for a power walk that I will be walking in my precinct, in my district for the prospects. My address is 4004 West Cortland Avenue, Fresno, California, 93722. It is the crossing streets are Shields and Brawley. Now, to your question, I echo the voice of my fellows. My opponent has proved to only be a rubber stamp for the present failed administration. We need an independent voice that will stand up for the community. I have the experience in both the business and education arenas to be that voice. We must improve our district and move forward, and that is something that we can do until we have new leadership. And I guarantee that when I will be there, I will make these changes. There will be small classrooms, more money for teachers, more money for our sports staff, more grants for our schools, more safety for our students. And being a former teacher, being a former planning commissioner, being a former journalist, being a radio host, being an advisor of former Fresno Police Department advisor, I will make sure that we are implementing these rules and regulations and bringing more money for our schools. Thank you, Gurdeep, once again for giving us a chance to speak up, to speak to our listeners through your radio talk show.
Mr. Dawar, thank you so much, and thank you, Cesar. Thank you, Richard, and
thank you, Gurdeep.
Thank you very much.